Alright everybody, I don't know if you guys seen this lighter here I had in a previous video, but it's been sitting around for quite a while because I couldn't find a screw to it. Well, I got a lighter. I received a lighter lot and I managed to find a screw that fit. I've ordered some washers, but anyway, I finally got this thing together, alright? And got her working great. This is a Jjj lighter made in Japan, and you guys have one of these, and I'm going to show you how to rebuild it. First thing I want to tell you right off the bat is, as far as simplicity goes and durability, these are hard to beat, okay, because there is no stoppage or lever mechanism of any sort in it. This thing just has a valve system in it that's adjustable by this little thumb wheel, okay. The only way that gas stops is when you close this lid and that little rubber stopper inside the lid goes over it and just stops the gas. It doesn't get any simpler than this. These are easy to rebuild with a minimal amount of tools, so I'm going to go over that right now, and we're just going to proceed from here, and I'm going to show you. I just got this little big fat screwdriver, thing I made here. You don't have to use that, but matter of fact, you might even be better off with something like this. And I put these filler valve caps back on. Don't snug them down real tight. They don't have to be. Alright, so there's no need putting too much pressure on something. From this point, I'm going to assume that you have a good filler valve, okay? And if you don't, you got a leaky one, and we'll go from there later on in a different video, because I'm kind of limited on time on this here as far as what I can do here. Okay, now I guess let's just go this route first. Let's just take the gas out, empty the butane tank. First step. Second step, get your flint out of there. Third step, I'm loosening the screw here on this flint right here. These things are exact opposite of regular threads, okay? Right, and you turn it right here and you're loosening it, okay? Now that wheel came off pretty easy because I've had this off before. Okay, from that point, go down here. Now this just unscrews, left hand thread doesn't loosen it. Okay, I think there we go. Now if you pull that screw out of here, guys, this lid mechanism might fall backward, and that means this little spring mechanism here could pop out. It's not a big deal, okay? So if you want, you can just leave the screw in there, and that way you won't have to deal with putting that plunger back in there. Okay, first things first, okay? Usually when you buy these lighters, these stoppers up here, well, let me get something to point with. Usually these stoppers right here are just wore out, okay? Now this here, I I got a sheet of Buna 70 Duro rubber, I think 2 mm thick, and this is a 3 mm in diameter. So what you want to do is you want to get online and buy one of these 3 mm diameter punches here to punch out your rubber. Okay, you'll just dig that out and then you'll put a new one in. No big deal. Easy to do. Alright. Now from here, I want to let you know here that usually sometimes, see this O-ring up, let me put this camera up a little bit, guys. I'm getting out of frame here. Alright. Now usually sometimes these could be real loose, you know, when you stick them in your pocket and the flame's just going up and down because they're real loose. How you can kind of help yourself on that is slip a little O-ring down on there on top of that before you put that platform down. Okay, that helps just keep that flame adjustment wheel a little tighter than it could possibly be. You might be fine, yours might be fine, but mine was a little loose. Alright, so I'm going to just take that off. Now from this point here, what you want to do is, you see you can't take this out, you just got to push the tank out from the bottom. Alright, once you do that, your flint roller wheel will pop out, and this is what you got. Alright, this is really simple. Now well, let me go ahead. Now I usually use this valve right here, this little thumb wheel here, and I'll just usually stick it on there and I'll just unscrew this valve completely out. So you got yourself a little tool, so to speak. Alright, there you be. Now, if you have to, you'll have to buy an O-ring for this. Can't remember what size I put on here, but when you do this, let me think, what size did I use for that? Let me see if I can find that real quick, guys. Okay. This could possibly be it here. This is you get my from O-rings and more part number. This also works on a Zama plunger seal. When I find an O-ring works, I kind of on a certain lighter, because these aren't really what you call you know, spec parts. But when I find something that works, I always write down what it works on. So you'll just have to find out. You know, it does. You can order these. Just go to O-rings and more. Just order a bunch of seals. These things are cheap, okay? And you get Buna 70 grade, okay? If you get 90, they're going to be hard. And sometimes as you go to stretch them, they won't expand. You'll end up breaking. So 70 is the way to go. Believe me on that. All right. All right, guys. Now, this here has a filter in it, or what we call a pressure seal. Okay. Now I get my replacement seals to put in there out of a disposable lighter. Okay. I think I got one here. When you take a disposable lighter apart, you'll rip it apart and you'll get this out of it here. Okay, this is what you know. This is what you're going to have right here. All right. Of course, you want to take the metal back off of it right here. You just want this little seal that's on here. Alright, then you'll have to have the proper size punch, which, let's see, for this hole, let me zoom back out. Looks like you're going about 2 millimeter, okay? So get you another one of them 2 millimeter hole punches. Alright, then you'll put this on like a, get you like a big thick paper book or something. Then you'll center this as best possible. Then you'll hit it with a hammer. Okay, and get it down 2 millimeter. That'll go inside this hole here before you put the valve assembly back in. But sometimes what you got to do though, before you get to that point, this thing will be all plugged up. Say for instance, you're not getting any gas out of it at all because it's plugged up. So you're going to remove this bottom part of this valve right here. Alright. What we got right here. You're going to want to find, if your O-ring ain't no good, just find you one that'll work. Okay. Alright. Now what you want to do from this point here is you're going to want to unplug this on the inside, you know, and usually what you can do, you can get your little twist tie, like from a garbage bag there. Poke that in there, and you'll see this come out in a moment here. There it is. There's a little bitty filter that I'm using for this. Alright, now you can see with your hair that this hole is clean. Alright. But anyway, sometimes what you can do too to clean these out, you're just going to have to get something that'll fit down in there, you know, and put some alcohol in there, wherever you can get to get down in there to clean that out, and get you some butane and blow through here and get you a light, like, let me see here, see if you can see down in there this. And get it cleaned out. Okay, now once you get it cleaned out and get it ready, then you want to put this valve, make sure you got a good O-ring on there, but you want to stick it back on. Now when you tighten this stuff up, guys, you don't want to crank it down where you can't turn it no more. Alright, you're just going to ruin something. This is brass. Remember, you're working with brass and steel here, so you don't want to do any more than you have to. Alright, so once you get to this point and you take your little filter that I'm going to try not to lose, put it down in there. Let me make sure, okay, it's flat down in there. Make sure the filter's flat too. Alright, then you got to take your valve assembly, put it back, and use this here to kind of just snug it down a little bit. Okay, just kind of not real tight, just snug it. And all else is good. You're going to grab you some butane here. We're going to gas this thing up. We're going to check out flame adjustment. Now sometimes you got to pop a little, I usually pop a little butane in there and bleed it out, especially if you move this valve. Once you move that valve, you got air in the tank, so it don't hurt to pop it. evacuate all that air, because otherwise sometimes you can get an erratic flame. You think it's your work that you've done when you actually just maybe need to evacuate, fill this up a little bit, and evacuate the butane until you get a stable flame. Just a minute here, I gotta get my camera straightened out. Alright, now grab you a working lighter like I got here. Nothing coming out, alright? So I'm going to put this back on here. Open it up a little bit. There we go. Alright. See what we got? Now that little sponge you got down in there is what actually cuts the gas flow down. When you tighten this down, when you screw this tight and get a smaller flame, it compresses that sponge so you don't get as much gas through this valve. Okay, so this thing's good to go. This is really simple, guys. I mean, if you really want a simple lighter, easy to work on, and you know, once you get one of these fixed, you use some quality, you know, O-rings, and get you, you know, replace that sponge on the inside and get it going. This lighter's gonna last you. It's hard telling. It's hard telling how long, really. I mean, it is. Okay, now we're gonna want to put it back together. So you kind of want to stick that in there a little bit, but you want to make sure that you don't want to put it up too far. You can get your roller, flint roller assembly in there. You just kind of like that. Alright. Now, we're going to want to put this back on. You got to turn it until it gets down in the notch. And this one's kind of loose, so I'm putting a little O-ring on top right there. So when I tighten this platform down, it'll give it a little resistance on this thumb roller here as you're opening up the valve or tightening it down. Okay. Now what we want to do is put everything down like that. Alright. Make sure everything looks good there. Now we're going to come over here and you might have to see how that lid's kind of tilted back a little bit. You're going to want to tilt that forward a little bit as you're kind of trying to find the hole to screw this screw into. Whatever you do, don't tighten these things too tight. See, that's what happened to me last time. It's just that I never tightened it too tight that I remember, but I broke the head off of it. So don't tighten this stuff any more than you have to. That's good there. Now you can see how the lid points forward a little bit, see? Because this screw is actually what stops this here from traveling too far back. Alright. Alright, now when you put these flint wheels back on here, they're going to be angled. You know, you want the little points on it angled clockwise. That way you can slip that back on there like that. Alright. Takes a minimal amount of good tools to tell you what, that about ended up on the floor. Yes, it did. Let me get my right here under my camera mount. There we go. Now, use my finger again. Just get it started. Now, bear with me here, guys. You know, I usually do this a little quicker, but I'm kind of trying to do this and work behind my camera and process, and so don't see things as well. And when you tighten this down too, just snug it. You don't want to, if you break that screw off in there, you could possibly get that other screw out, but you're going to have a hard time finding another one of these screws, I'll guarantee you. Okay. Alright. You know, that's pretty much it right there, other than just, you know, putting your flint back in there. And, you know, I think I lost a spring, but this here spring right here, guys, I got this out when I disassembled one of them little disposable lighters. I just took the spring out of there and used it in here. Because I might have used the internal spring and little metal platform on another repair or something, but you know, this still works. Alright. Well, let me go ahead and pump some more butane into this. Okay. Yeah. Turn her up a little bit. There we go. I'll tell you what, guys, this is one of the simplest and most reliable lighters that you can get. You know, I mean, just easy. As far as these, you know, a lot of these valves vary. You'll just have to take them apart and get in there, and you can get you some O-rings, or possibly use some of that Butane 70. See this rubber I got down here? Now, this isn't Butane rubber, it's just regular grade rubber. But you'll just get something like this here, you know, a certain thickness, whatever you need, and you'll just cut it accordingly with the punches that you need. Of course, you're going to need a micrometer for measuring that stuff, because you don't want anything too small in diameter or anything you know, too big. Anyway, guys, my battery's running out, and that's it. Take care. Hope you learned something.